Hey guys, what's going on? It is Broken Nose Vlogs here. I know it's been a minute since I've made any content for this channel, and it's mainly because I've been sort of focusing and / being tied up with my Twitch channel, which also has its own VODs channel, and I've been streaming about once a week, I would say, for maybe the past month or so, and it's been Statmania. If you remember, one of the last videos that I did for this channel was me sort of lamenting about how I ended up sort of getting stuck in a loop on wanting to do a review on the L-Tek Dance Pad. Well, I'm gonna try again. I have made some progress, obviously, because I have now a Twitch channel where I stream, and that means that I've got to have a working computer that can broadcast, and that means I have the L-Tek and everything set up. One of the problems that I was having was I was using ITG Mania. I was having some timing issues. It stumped me for a while. I ended up tossing that out, and I went back to Outfox because I found out you can save your scores on Outfox. It's a long story, but I am finally sort of wanting to talk about the Dance Pad and what I feel about it when it comes to this version of the L-Tek Dance Pad that I have versus the very first one that I got. And I'll go ahead and I'll sort of preface this by saying this is my second L-Tek Dance Pad that I've owned, and it is definitely different enough compared to the original one that I had when the company was just starting to sell internationally. But let's go ahead, we will pop inside. I'll show you the wonderful, weird liminal space that is this sort of storage room that I have set up and I have my Statmania rig at. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at that right now. All right, so let's go ahead. We will take a look at the setup inside of the storage room here. As soon as you walk in, you got your L-Tek Dance Pad right here, and we have our processing center right over here, the very powerful PC that I built for this system. It does the streaming, it does the gaming. It's actually basically a spare parts build. This has the i3-12100F inside of it, as well as the GTX 1070 that I had. Both were pulled from that white budget build. This was actually going to be the original case as well, but we ended up moving that off because this case was not in great shape, and it was a ITX build case, and at the time I could not find a decent ITX motherboard. We have our lighting right here. We have lighting for both up and down. The reason why there's two different lights is because if you look right up here, we have two cameras. One will focus on the dance pad, and then one would focus on whoever's playing. We have an audio, we have mic right here, so if I want to talk while I'm on stream, I got a mic on board. The display is not spectacular. This is I think it's a 24-inch 1080p TV that I got from like Best Buy or something, and then we ended up just never using it for anything, so I ended up using it for this. The TV stand is a little janky. I would love a better TV stand, but you know, you just kind of work with what you have. Y'all don't see this on the stream anyway, and you definitely don't see this stuff on the stream. So this is the storage room part of the storage room. I did want to, you know, give a little bit of interest to the background of the stream. So I recently just got a banner made of the channel icon for the Twitch channel, and this is just something I had laying around. And then that's really it. That's the whole setup in here. So now that we've seen the setup, I kind of want to go over my thoughts about the L-Tek Dance Pad that I have now versus the one that I had before. I'm probably just going to put up some stock footage from some of my streams from my VODs channel in there at this point, but I do want to talk about it because it is different. It's different enough. The very first version that I bought when L-Tek was first starting to sell dance pads was a little bit more rough around the edges, I guess you could say. The pad itself, like the construction, for the most part was pretty solid. I did have some weird creaking issues when I'd lean back or hit the down arrow on my original dance pad. The other issue I had was with the corner protectors and the protector that covered the USB port. They were 3D printed items. Now, I'm not against 3D printed items, that's totally fine, but if you're going to 3D print items, it's probably best that they last some time. The 3D printed items that they put on this dance pad started delaminating fairly quickly, and they became thinner and thinner as time went on. I was going to reach out and talk to L-Tek about maybe replacing these parts because I had heard that they had upgraded them, which the new one we'll talk about has upgrades, but I never got around to it. Another issue is the pad build itself was okay. It was fairly solid. I did have some issues with the dance pad when I'd hit the down arrow or I'd lean backwards to hit the down arrow. You could feel the pad creak. It felt like it may have been a little bit uneven. So that may have been another problem. And it's not apparent on the new pad, so quality control seems to have increased. In terms of the sensors between new and old, I did modify the old sensors with essentially the copper strip mod or penny mod, where you would put pieces of copper on the edges and essentially that would increase sensitivity. I am not going to tear open the new one, and I'll kind of go over that in a little bit, but the older one did require a little bit of tweaks here and there. I do know that the USB board that they had on the original dance pad was not quite as responsive as this one. I actually had to adjust some settings on this new one, and I'm running it through a USB 2.0 port. I've been told that seems to help the dance pad. I have seen some reviews where people were saying the 3.0 ports, even though this is a high-speed USB device, I guess the pulling rate or something can cause issues, so I decided to keep it at USB 2.0. I have not had any issues with it. It is sensitive and it is not like double tapping or anything like that or ghost stepping, but the original dance pad was good for what it was, but it did require some work. The other thing that I wasn't really a big fan of is on the underside of the dance pad on my original, it did start scuffing and the finish started coming off, which that's obviously all aesthetic, but the issue that I have with that is then it starts to show the material underneath, and if that kind of gets gouged out enough, then we have a problem. But the original dance pad served me well. The only reason I got rid of it was because I thought I was going to be leaving the state and I was not going to carry this big dance pad with me. That never came to fruition. I did stop playing DDR for a while. I have gotten back into it. I go to Dave & Buster's, I go to round 1. So I still am making attempts at trying to stay at playing DDR. And I wanted to have a home setup again. And that's where the setup that we saw came into play. So let me go ahead and talk about the new version that I have. So the new version, it is the same exact model. It's the EX Pro, because at this point, L-Tek has come out with new variants. There's like the Prime, there's the EX Pro 2, there's all these different, there's the Core, there's all these different versions now. I know they still have the metal ones, and I think they even came up with these quote-unquote eco versions, which were meant for lighter players, which definitely is not me. But L-Tek has expanded their variety, the prices have changed. This was one of the last EX Pros that was in stock at DDRpad.com, and what that had meant to me was the price was actually coming down a little bit, and I said, you know what, I'm going to pull the trigger. It's already in the US. I don't have to worry about the import fees, because that was a thing now. That wasn't a thing back then. They kind of just included it into the price. So I said, okay, I'm just going to take this one and go with it. This new version, I do like quite a bit. The finish and the build and the fit are a little bit better. I don't have that creaking issue that I had with my original dance pad. And then the other issue that I don't have is the corner protectors and the USB protectors. They've moved to a pretty thick and durable silicone, and you can even buy replacement silicone corner protectors of different colors if you really want to. I'm not that interested in it, but you could make a custom dance pad. You can also get custom printed panels, which has always been a thing. And the sensors, I feel like they've made some adjustments to them. They do feel like they have a bit more give than the previous dance pad that I owned. And because of this, I'm not super interested in actually pulling the panels off and doing any work to it. I've actually left this pad entirely stock for the time being because I don't see a point in making any sort of adjustment to it. I think it's probably going to run just fine. And the scores, I mean, I'm doing pretty well. I did have to do some adjustments timing wise, but once I got the timing down, I'm scoring very similar to what I would score in the arcade at home, which tells me that I'm performing pretty similarly in both aspects. If I was performing better at home and worse at the arcade, I would feel like the timing is skewed and I'm doing the machine is, you know, essentially harder at the arcade than I have it at home. But right now, the timing and judgments seem pretty comparable to each other, so I think I'm doing a pretty good job of that. But overall, I think this dance pad, the last of the EX Pros that I could get my hands on, I still think the EX Pro is a good model, and I think it was a good value, especially since they were sort of like discontinuing it out of this inventory. And I'm assuming the comparable successor would be the EX Pro 2 or the Prime, or I don't know what they call it. I'll have to take a look. But the thing is that this one, aesthetically and feature-wise, I think they added more to it, but it also drove the price up. So for me, someone that just needs up, down, left, right, I don't need a start or select button built into the pad or anything like that. Direct USB port plug-in. This guy was just fine. The newer models, I'm sure, are just as good, if not better, because they probably have more features and connectivity and more buttons. But for me, this was just fine. But I am really happy to see that L-Tek not only has maintained like how good they were, but they've improved upon their design and have basically made a better version of something that I had purchased prior. The USB on this model, I believe, is a USB 3.0. I believe it was one of the modifications they did when they updated the machine or the pads to have a better board for better response times. I don't know if it works better on USB 3 or not. I have it connected to a USB 2.0 port because the motherboard on that build just doesn't have that many USB 3 ports, and I'm not really all that interested in plugging it into the back of the thing. I'd rather have the USB sit on the top on the front ports, separated from the motherboard IO, and that way if I need to do a quick reset or unplug and replug, it's pretty much right in front of my face. But in terms of my response times, my reaction times, and the sort of what I'm seeing from the dance pad on a USB 2.0 port, it does seem more responsive. I'm not getting ghost steps or double taps like I had said, but it does require, I think I had to increase the debounce time a little bit, and outside of that, now it's running like a champ. But like, I think at the end of the day, I think that L-Tek made a pretty good dance pad. I know there's a lot of other competitors out there now. I know there's a brand from, I believe it's China, called Born to Lead, who makes essentially custom one-to-one replicas of what you'd see at the arcade. There was a dance pad company that I saw from like Brazil, I believe, and I don't know what their prices are, if they're still in business, but they were another brand that I had seen mentioned before. The big competition is Born to Lead, at least in terms of like what they make. They make custom dance pads that are, like I said, arcade replicas. They are a lot more expensive. We're talking in the thousands. And not to mention now, at least in the US, with our current importing and tariffs and everything like that, it might be even more expensive than it was previous. So I just don't have that kind of money to drop. Not to mention, if they're like one-to-one replicas and they're building them the same way with the sensors and all the under, like the everything underneath, those might be really heavy. The L-Tek's already pretty heavy in its own right. I don't think I'd want anything heavier. Oh, another competition. Man, I can't believe I thought about it this late. StepManiacs. The StepManiacs dance pads are also very well built, but they're also very expensive. I see those go for $2 to $5K online. And again, same thing, they're heavy, but they're good, but that's just another, it's just another brand that I don't think I'd have the money or capital to spend. I'm a very budget-oriented person, so the L-Tek is probably the most expensive one that I'm ever going to buy. The L-Tek does remind me a lot of the Cobalt Flux. I did own a Cobalt Flux many years ago. It was a great pad until the control box wiring stopped working and I couldn't replace it. But it's, you know, it's not a bad dance pad. I am glad that I have one again, and I just kind of wanted to talk about the dance pad and what I thought of it now versus what I had prior to this model. This is definitely an improvement, and I'm really happy to see L-Tek sort of make improvements on their dance pads. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video. This was basically just me kind of wanting to finalize and make the video that I talk about my L-Tek and my sort of little Stepmania build. If you're interested in seeing me play Stepmania, like I said, there's a Twitch channel now. I also have a VODs channel. They'll be in the description. But I just wanted to finally kind of bring this up, finish it up, and close it out. But I do really think that L-Tek has made improvements. I think it's a good dance pad. I'm glad that I have one back in my ownership. And honestly, that's about it. I just wanted to finally make this video that I struggled for so long on trying to make, and I don't know why I was having such a hard time doing it, but yeah. So I just kind of want to wrap everything up and just saying that I still think the L-Tek is probably the best like price to performance like combination in terms of how it performs and what you pay for it. Like if you have the money to buy a Born to Lead or a Stepmaniacs dance pad, which is in the thousands, you're clearly going to buy one of those, and they're clearly going to be better because you can do much more customization and tweaks to them than you can in L-Tek. But if you look at the L-Tek at like in the, I would say like standard home dance pad areas, I would say the L-Teks are definitely on the upper echelon of that. Because the only other brands that are around anymore, I think, are DDRgame.com, if they still make them, and those dance pads are basically just heavily modified old TX style dance pads, which I did have an okay one many years ago that I had sort of modded with copper tape for better contact, and I bought the model that had the bar, so it had a bigger base. But it is not a dance pad that people seem to have a very good opinion of these days. Anyways, this video has gone on for way too long. I thank you guys for watching the entire thing if you did, and I'm hoping that if there were any people out there that were kind of curious about L-Tek dance pads, this makes you know, them kind of help make a decision in the end. But you know, in the end, this is all just a hobby for me. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up. I hope I will see you guys in the next video I make. Until then, take it easy. Bye bye.